Welcome back to Trading with CJ. Today we are talking about HITIF, ticker symbol HITIF. We have covered this one numerous times on this channel, from a stock analysis to catalyst to different updates. However, today we have a bit more of a casual video, okay? We are going through some questions that the CEO, Raj, has answered. Now, this is quite cool, okay? He's very interactive with his shareholders and investors, and that is what we love in a CEO in a company. So it's just a casual one. You can find all of this, majority of this is on the Reddit post. Basically, HITIF released a tweet from their Twitter account, which was this, 60 minutes until their questions. So you could post the questions on the Reddit forum, and in that he was going through and answering to his best of his ability. And there is some interesting things going on, okay? You know, it's always good interacting with a CEO directly. You can ask exactly what you want rather than having to rely on, you know, the information they put out in press releases. So if you appreciate all of this, please go ahead and smash a like and subscribe to my channel. That really is appreciated as well. We also have a Discord channel, which is completely free to join, and it has a free HITIF channel in there as well. So we're going to talk about this. Like I say, this is just going to be quite a casual one. I'm going to just give you the questions and answers that he's been reading out. We're going to break this down because otherwise it'll be a very long video, and I'm fully aware you can go and read all of this, but a lot of people don't like to just read through, you know, lots of numbers and lots of text, etc. So I'm going to just break this down and summarize, you know, some of the key points here from this Q&A session with the CEO of HITIF. Hopefully you find this interesting. Before we get into all of this, I do actually want to quickly touch on this, which came out yesterday. HITIF opened 75th branded cannabis retail store in Canada. So this is good. Once again, they are growing. And they say that this new store is part of our plan to organically expand our Canadian retail footprint in underserviced neighborhoods. So I wasn't going to make a whole video purely on that because, you know, they've added another store, which is great. We want this to keep expanding. But this video is about the Q&A. So first off, like I say, Raj Grover, he is the CEO of HITIF, and he's been very active. And they've got a very active Twitter account as well. You can go and check that out, constantly bringing us nice updates. So this is from the Reddit post. Just to summarize this company, we have summarized this in numerous analysis videos, but I want to read you out their specific points about this, okay? They are the first Canadian cannabis retailer to report positive adjusted EBITDA. Their financials came out, I think it was about last week now. We've done a video on that. You can check all of that out. Very good financials. They absolutely smashed their financials. So they're the first retailer as well to apply to list on the Nasdaq. They are currently an OTC stock. Let's actually quickly jump into their stock actually. HITIF, you can see it right here. Currently at this moment in time, is trading for 55 cents per share. Very cheap. It's been a bit more of a flat line over the last month. You know, we're down on the month in general, we're actually down about 20%, which isn't that bad considering the massive red market we've been having and the fact that this is a penny stock. But if we look at the last 6 months, we can see pretty much since the middle of January, we are still up 160%. Very nice gains overall, but at the moment it is a bit flatlining. We don't mind it because good news keeps on coming. They smashed their financial results. You can see here they're featured a 166% over year return on revenue and a record adjusted EBITDA of 3.6 million, making 2020 their strongest year since inception. They absolutely smashed it, and actually the price went down after that, which was pretty insane. But nevertheless, you can see in November 2020 they completed the acquisition of all issued outstanding shares of Meta. So they acquired Meta, making the largest cannabis retailer in Canada measured by revenue. And in January 2021, they entered into an agreement to acquire the outstanding shares of Smoke Cartel, and that is expected to close this month. And that will mean that they now operate the two largest e-commerce platforms for consumption accessories in the world. We have covered all this before. Links to all those videos are in the description. So let's go into some of this Q&A, okay? Like I said, this is going to be pretty casual, so feel free to skip past questions you're not interested in, but I'm going to break this down. This first question here is probably one of the most important ones we want to know. What is the status of the Nasdaq uplisting? This is going to be big news for this company if they do it. And it says, any idea about a reverse split, or could the stock get to the price minimum naturally? Because at the moment it does a trade only for 55 cents. Raj's replied, they know that this is top of the mind for many shareholders. They've had to file their end of year financials before proceeding with their 40F form. But the financials have now been filed, so they anticipate submitting the form within 2 weeks, which is great. They're excited at the prospect of being listed on the Nasdaq, and they believe it can attract even more capital and add fire to our M&A initiatives. And I believe that as well. This is going to be big because it's going to give a lot more access to other investors. They've not actually given a timeline for this, but they say that we plan to continue the momentum from 2020 and keep executing on driving the business forward. We've not announced a share consolidation, so that's about the reverse split right there. However, they are in conversation with institutional investors and ETFs that we've received feedback, and they prefer to own companies that have share price similar to the MSOs. The board has an authorized potential rollback if we decide it is necessary. So they say here that the momentum of our stock is in the best interest of shareholders, which is great. Okay, so it's not really giving us an exact timeline, but what they know that the reason this hasn't really progressed as of the last few weeks is because they've been waiting for their financials to be filed. But now that's filed, you can see there the key date right there. Within the next 2 weeks, they're going to be submitting that form. So hopefully, we're going to be hearing something in maybe the next couple of months. But yeah. Doesn't sound like they have plans to do a reverse split, but they also haven't ruled it out. I thought this question was pretty interesting. Can you put some color on your US sales? We know this is a Canadian-based company, but they are selling it in the US as well. If we quickly go back to their last financials, the last quarter, 26 million came from Canada, 4 million came from the US, okay? So they are slowly getting to the US, and this person is very interested in this. So they say, can you put some color on the US sales? As in, what do you see the optimal sales path? Is it online, or perhaps it's a wholesale, or where do you see the growth from here? And the reply, our products are in high demand. In fact, many of them are sold out because we are experiencing temporary supply chain disruption due to the pandemic. This is great, okay? They're selling out. People are obviously interested in these products. Not to worry, we have taken the steps to address this, and we expect further improvement in the supply chain as the impact of the pandemic begin to subside. We expect our wholesale business to keep growing in the US in 2021 and beyond, which is the exact answer we would hope for. Another factor that will drive our growth is the onboarding of Smoke Cartel into our ecosystem. And they say that this is further expanding our inventory and enhancing our integration through cross-selling opportunities. Bit of a broad answer there. They haven't really said exactly what pathway they're going down, but it sounds like they want to just be diverse here, okay? They're talking about their Smoke Cartel, which, as we mentioned, those sales figures haven't come into play yet because this is a very, very new acquisition. So it wasn't in the last financials. So we have all of that to look forward to. Any expectations around how the US market may grow for high tide? Now, this is one of the key catalysts here investing. The US market is huge, and high tide are just about to break into it. The reply here is there are encouraging signs of liberalization and the potential for favorable regulatory legislative changes. Okay, so this is talking about making cannabis or weed legal potentially throughout the US. That's obviously, currently an ongoing situation which we've covered before. So they're saying here, one key thing they'd like to point out is unlike most Canadian companies, our US strategy isn't totally reliant on this. We are not just sitting on our hands waiting for it. Our broad ecosystem, including owning and distributing accessory brands, along with distribution and retail sales, allows us to look at much larger segment of the US market. So this is an amazing, because most stocks here are relying on some massive catalyst. This one isn't. Legalizing weed throughout the US, if anything, is just another potential catalyst. It is not the be-all and end-all. This company is doing amazing things with or without the US. However, they say here, they can still distribute accessory brands, etc. They have a lot of online platforms as well. So this is all still good. They're still making sales from the US anyway regarding that. So they say, in fact, we estimate that the acquisition of Smoke Cartel, that their annual run rate of revenue about $25 million currently, they will look to continue to grow this business. Now, this was a really cool part of this answer here, okay? The market has seen several examples in tie-ups between Canadian and US cannabis companies, using option agreements as an example. But rest assured, because of our strong networks in the US, we are one transaction away from entering the bricks and mortar THC market, once federally permissible. They are ready to go, okay? So they're going to start getting stores in the US as well. And I really think we should be expecting that to happen this year, which of course means sales are going to go up as well. The next question was international revenue. We've covered US. Let's talk about international. It's obviously a big target for you, with Europe would seemingly be a likely spot for expansion as well. Grass City is already there. Is there any other near-term opportunities? The reply here is the EU market is a huge opportunity for high tide, especially as it relates to CBD, accessory and broader products. We are in an excellent position to capitalize on these emerging opportunities, and we already have a presence in this market. It can easily be scaled as the market demand warrants. Grass City has been operating there for over 20 years, and they're working to build on this by strengthening and adding to their chain in the EU. So stay tuned, because our success will have a lot of deal flow, but we want to ensure that whatever we do fits into our strategic vision and maximizes shareholder value. I would love to see this come to Europe as well. I think this would be amazing. I mean, they've got a lot of markets at the moment. They're smashing the Canadian market. They're expanding into the US. They have the Grass City side of things in the EU, which they're also looking to continually grow. Just good news all around, okay? Now, this is quite a cool question, okay? What makes high tide different from fire and flower in particular? And what are high tide's moats? Now, this is a common question because there are so many different companies going into this sector. How do you know which one to choose from? You can go on their financials, you can go on their growth. Reality is you're going on the products and what the company has to offer at the end of the day. And this is his answer here, okay? High Tide has a differentiated and broad ecosystem compared to any other North American retailer. Despite competing on store counts, they are also marching ahead on business divisions. They have the top 2 accessory e-commerce platforms, which we spoke about, both of which are profitable, and they have a combined 33 million annual site visits, which sets us up nicely to take advantage of the US federal legalization. We currently manufacture more than 75% of the consumption accessories we sell and have proprietary and licensed accessories through Famous Brands, which is a company we spoke about, which has, celebrity endorsements, Snoop Dogg being one of those. All of these products are big hit with customers and command shelf space in retail settings. Of course they will, people want to buy the names. If these names are associated with High Tide, it's just a win-win all around for the people using the products and the company, i.e. High Tide. They say that our integrated value chain is our biggest strength and we will continue capitalizing on our winning strategies. How will High Tide's various brands and retail platforms mesh and supplement each other? Because they've got, like I said, they've got so many different sectors: distribution, wholesale, brick and mortar, e-commerce, etc. How are they all going to gem together to make this a ultimately amazing, profitable business? Simply put, this will be through our diversified and fully integrated chain. All of our business divisions at High Tide benefit from this setup. Famous Brands / Valiant is core to our product strategy for our own retail stores, and that allows us to customize and tailor products to our exact business divisions. Having multiple sales channels adds flexibility, and it is our biggest strength. We have a diverse ecosystem which provides layered insights regarding consumers, product categories, and markets, and we can leverage this across all business divisions. This is a well-answered question, in my opinion. This is another good question because Cannabis, you may know this company, we spoke about it again, is one of their biggest. It's their one-stop club member site there, and someone's asked, do you plan on bringing the Cannabis banner in the USA? And their reply is, it is our well-loved brand in Canada. We want to leverage this goodwill and momentum along with our unique one-stop shop concept. Right now, our focus is on expanding our e-commerce footprint related to the consumption accessories and hemp-derived CBD products in the US, because that is what is currently legal. So once again, this is what I love, okay? They're not trying to focus on things that aren't even potential yet. We're talking about potential legalization. There's nothing to say that is actually going to happen. So why put all your energy into that when it may not even happen? They are putting their energy right now into what can and currently is happening. They're expanding their e-commerce platforms. We are monitoring the situation closely, and we'll be able to enter the bricks and mortar retail space as soon as the law allows. Cannabis, our one-stop shop concept, is so unique, we feel it will be well received in the US when that is allowed to happen. Well, let's go into some of the finances, okay? This is what we want to see. We want to see where we're going forward. What are your long-term goals in terms of net profit with respect to your revenue? First, what percentage are you aiming for? They've said 10 or 12. And they've said here, our projections for EBITDA margin after the Meta acquisition, which we didn't take into account in the previous quarter, is between 10 and 15% over the long term, which will of course take. That's a nice percentage. This one actually made me laugh. Have you tried teaming up with Fire and Flower? Potentially a merger. It could wipe away the competitors and throw the combined entity to be seen as an overall winner. We spoke about the Fire and Flower in a previous question, and their reply was, we're always on the lookout for strategic acquisition opportunities that can bolster our position in target markets. You'll get everyone now going, oh, is this a potential merger? I mean, they haven't said no, but they also haven't said yes. Very vague answer, but what can they say? You never know. Not going to turn an opportunity down if it comes along. Cool question here, one I actually got before. What happened in the Q3 results? Why was the net income so much higher than Q4? It looks like you gained a lot of debentures and some reevaluation of marketable security. Is that the same what happened this quarter with all debentures being swapped, thus gaining money of these? What was the reevaluation of the marketable security, which is about 1.663 million? And that was a loss in Q2, but a gain in Q3. Bit of a wordy question, but let's see what their answer is. They say here, at this stage, our company's growth, we are more focused on EBITDA, as we believe it best represents the company's underlying operations. Our income statement will have non-cash items related to convertible debentures, which can cause fluctuations to the net income line either way in a given quarter, which is understandable. EBITDA is a solid metric here to go off of because, like I say here, they've got these debentures, which is going to cause the fluctuations. Non-cash gain in Q3 was a result of the restructuring of 10.8 million of debt, and that was into an interest-free, which is due in 2025. This question kind of follows on from one that we was asked earlier. As with any small company, demand can sometimes overtake the supply. How are you scaling up your supply chain to keep up with this rapid growth? They go on to mention about, obviously, the pandemic is, hopefully coming over. So now they can see the light at the end of the tunnel. They see opportunities to strengthen their infrastructure. They can leverage their existing presence in international markets like the EU, China, and North America to continue to further strengthen our infrastructure. So they're including China here as well. They're trying to build out this infrastructure, which of course is great. And then this one, finally, do you have any projections of the size of the US market following legislation? They say that, well, we know the US population is 10 times the size of Canada. Most analysts expect the US market to be over $100 billion upon maturity. Now, of course, that doesn't mean that High Tide are going to get $100 billion here. That is just the market size opportunity. Obviously, there are numerous cannabis companies in America going to be fighting for this same market size. But even if they can get a portion of this, we are currently talking about a company with a market cap of about 330 million. Okay, so incredibly low market cap company. And yeah, lots and lots of opportunity, which for sure. Somebody's asked here, when do you foresee the quarterly run rate in dollars to be on corporate overhead once normalized? And the reply here is actually about the earnings call. They said, as mentioned in our earnings call, our expectations for the first fiscal quarter of 2021 is for our top line to be 37 million and 38 million. And that is a huge step up for the 25 million they just reported, and Meta is a key part of that. So basically, they're saying when those next financials come out with the first fiscal quarter of 2021, they're going to smash it. That is a massive, massive top line there. So I'm expecting once again for them to be very good. They had a very good last financials, which we saw last week or 2 weeks ago. And hopefully the next ones are going to be even better. They have this acquisition of Meta and also Smoke Cartel that may play a part in this as well, coming up to those next quarter results. This question here is about the store count. We mentioned this a while back. They expect to have 115 stores at the end of the year. That was their aim. And it says, are you still likely to get that, basically? And they said, as of today, we now have 75 locations, which we touched on at the start of this video. Unfortunately, our ability to launch new stores in Ontario was temporarily slowed due to construction restrictions related to the pandemic. Our long-term growth plan focuses on Ontario. We have 26 open in queue locations already. We believe that our existing network and in-queue store positions us to well reach that level by the end of September. So this is pretty exciting, okay? They're highly focused on the quality of their locations, not only quantity. They've learned from experience in a much more competitive market that it's all about securing the best locations. And this approach is integral to our growth strategy. So they haven't necessarily confirmed that they're going to get that, but it does say here, we remain committed to reaching 115 stores as soon as possible. So it does sound very promising. We may potentially not get it this year because of this delay, but I guess we'll find out more about that getting later and later into the year. But you can't argue, already at 75 stores as of literally today. There's one question here on share dilution. Are there plans to issue more stock or reduce the share dilution? And their reply is that to get listed on the Nasdaq, we will need to reach a share price higher than we are currently trading at, either by naturally or share consolidation. A potential share consolidation will result in a lower number of shares outstanding. Share consolidations don't impact any individual shareholders' percentage ownership of the company and should make our shares more appealing to institutional investors, as well as helping support our aggressive M&A strategy. It does seem like we're going to see this because, as I say, their share price needs to be considerably higher So yeah, and they haven't ruled this out. They've mentioned quite a bit here, a couple of times, about the potential institutional investors. So maybe they are looking at doing that. So you'll own less shares potentially here, but you know, for a higher price. So that is potentially what we may see going forward. I think this is a good question to round this off. Okay, there are more, and I will leave the link to this in the description so you can just read through all of this, because there's a lot of questions. They took a lot of time out to answer these, and I'm just bringing you some of the main points that we have taken away from this. You know, an active CEO is a great thing. This question says, what is your personal goal for High Tide in the next 5 years? At High Tide, we plan to win. We have done the hard work of laying a strong foundation for our business, and we will not rest until we become a leading global cannabis enterprise. So by reading through all of this, there's a lot more as well, but like I said, we'll leave this in the comments. I just wanted to give you some of the key questions I will ask, key questions that investors are looking forward to. You know, some about the financials, some about the Nasdaq listing, expansion into the US, expansion into Europe, etc. We've covered all of that. They've given us solid answers, in my opinion, and I really do think, you know, this has amazing potential. That is why it is one of my largest penny stocks. I will still add that at these prices, I'm actually pretty much break even from my recollection at this moment in time, and that's fine for me. I don't mind that at these prices. It is a bit more flatlining at the moment. Happy to keep buying. That's my personal strategy, but I'm not a financial advisor. If you are planning on investing, you should always do your own research first. This is one we've been covering for a while. We're out here making these money moves, and guys, I hope you've enjoyed this. If you can smash the like and subscribe to my channel, that really is appreciated. And until next time.